Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into the latest from Rigetti Computing, a company, right at the forefront of quantum technology. Their Q2 2025 earnings report just landed, and it reveals this really fascinating paradox. You've got some clear financial headwinds, but also a major leap forward in their quantum computing hardware.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to unpack these results. We need to look beyond just the raw numbers. We'll explore the critical technological advancements Rigetti has made, the significant challenges they're still facing, and what it all means for this global race towards practical quantum computing. You should walk away with a clear understanding of, the leading edge of this whole revolutionary field.
Okay, so let's start with the immediate market reaction. Rigetti reported Q2 2025 revenue of $1.8 million. That actually fell slightly short of their forecasted $1.87 million. And their earnings per share came in at a loss of 0.05 cents, also missing expectations. So, as you might expect, the stock dipped a bit, 2.13% in after-hours trading.
Yeah, but what's truly fascinating here is if you look at the year-over-year comparison, that shows a pretty significant financial decline. Back in Q2 2024, revenue was $3.1 million, right?
Yeah.
And it dropped sharply to $1.8 million this past quarter. Gross margins also took a big hit, fell from 64% way down to just 31%. And we also saw total operating expenses increase, went from $18.1 million up to $20.4 million. And their net loss, well, it widened significantly from $12.4 million to $39.7 million. So this raises, for me at least, an important question. How can a company that seems to be making such strong technological strides be facing these, considerable financial challenges?
Right, and this next point adds a really fascinating twist to their whole financial story. Despite these widening losses and the revenue declines we just talked about, Rigetti has an incredibly strong cash position. They reported a whopping $571.6 million in cash equivalents, and available for sale investments. And crucially, they carry no debt.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. This impressive liquidity is largely thanks to a successful $350 million equity raise they completed right there in Q2 2025. So this isn't just a cushion, it's a lifeline. It buys them crucial time to fund their ambitious R&D. It really distinguishes them from a lot of early-stage tech ventures that might buckle under those kinds of losses.
Absolutely. That cash position changes the calculus quite a bit.
It's easy to get caught up in the financials, though. But the real story for Rigetti, and maybe for quantum computing's future, often lies in the labs, right? So let's shift gears from the balance sheet. What's the latest groundbreaking technology they've unveiled?
Well, this quarter, they announced the general availability of their Cepheus 136Q system. They're calling it the industry's largest multi-chip quantum computer, which is, it's a genuinely huge technical milestone. The Cepheus 136Q achieved a 2x reduction in the 2-qubit gate error rate compared to their previous Ankaa 3 system. That means they reached a median 2-qubit gate fidelity of 99.5%.
Okay, now fidelity and gate error rate. These are terms we hear a lot in quantum computing. Can you help us understand what that 99.5% fidelity really means for a system like Cepheus 136Q? And, why is it such a big deal?
Absolutely. So think of fidelity as basically how accurately the quantum operations are performed. So 99.5% fidelity means that, on average, only about 0.5% of their quantum operations go wrong. And this is critical because even tiny errors, they multiply really quickly in quantum calculations. They can just scramble the delicate quantum information. Achieving this level of accuracy makes the Cepheus 136Q the first multi-chip quantum computer in the industry to reach that kind of performance. And, with 4 chips, it contains the largest number of chiplets in a quantum computer to date. It really validates Rigetti's unique scaling approach, this multi-chip idea.
Okay, let's unpack this chiplet approach then. The term comes up a lot when we talk about scaling quantum computers. Can you help us understand the core concept? And maybe more importantly, why is this particular strategy such a game changer for quantum? Is it different from how classical computing uses similar ideas?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the core idea is a strategic move away from trying to build one single giant monolithic chip. Instead, they use multiple smaller chiplets. Each of these contains just a few qubits. In Rigetti's case, they're using 9-qubit chiplets. It's actually a method very similar to how the traditional semiconductor industry builds advanced processors today.
Oh, okay.
Think of it like building with Legos instead of trying to carve, a giant intricate statue out of a single block of marble. It's just much more flexible, more forgiving. And this approach gives them greater control over chip uniformity, which directly improves the overall performance. It also significantly reduces manufacturing complexity and improves fabrication yield. That means fewer errors in production, which is huge.
Makes sense.
And critically, leveraging chiplets allows for faster two-qubit gates, which in turn reduces what we call coherent errors. These are errors that build up over time when the quantum system is, interacting with itself or its environment. They basically scramble the quantum information. Reducing them profoundly improves fidelity, and that improved fidelity is absolutely essential for eventually implementing quantum error correction.
This is the key step, right?
Exactly. That's the key step towards fault-tolerant quantum computing. That's kind of the holy grail, where errors are managed so well that practical, complex quantum computations become reliable.
So with all this momentum and success in their chiplet strategy, what's next on their technology roadmap? What should we be looking out for?
Well, Rigetti is targeting a 100-plus qubit system, and they want that same impressive 99.5% median two-qubit gate fidelity. They're aiming to get there before the end of 2025, continuing to use this chiplet approach. Their CEO, Subodh Kulkarni, he really emphasized his confidence that they will hit this pretty aggressive target. It really underscores the success they've seen with the chiplet scaling so far.
Okay. Now, for many of our listeners, quantum advantage is a term they hear batted around a lot. It's almost like this mythical goal. How does Rigetti specifically define that? And what's their timeline for achieving it?
Yeah, it's a good term to clarify. For Rigetti, achieving quantum advantage within 4 years means hitting a very specific set of interconnected goals. It's not just one thing. They need to develop a 1,000-plus qubit system. It needs to have 99.9% fidelity, so even higher accuracy than what they just achieved. They need to successfully implement quantum error correction. And they need to achieve gate speeds faster than 50 nanoseconds. They believe all 4 of these elements are simultaneously necessary to truly claim quantum advantage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an incredibly ambitious target when you think about where the technology stands today across the whole industry.
That's definitely strong confidence from their CEO. But, I mean, given the historical challenges in quantum and just the sheer complexity of these systems, what do you see as the one biggest risk factor that could derail that 4-year goal?
Well, there are several significant hurdles, honestly, and it's a highly competitive landscape out there. Market competition from established tech giants like, IBM and Google, that's a very real and present threat. They're pouring immense resources into quantum too.
Sure.
The high cost of R&D can definitely strain financial resources. Even with Rigetti's strong cash position, that's why that $350 million raise was so crucial. And achieving complex technical milestones like effective quantum error correction, that remains particularly challenging. They have actually stated they are still maybe a year or 2 away from even trying the sophisticated error correction codes.
Okay.
And as you scale up to larger qubit counts, even like physical challenges become a factor. Things like the density of the cabling inside the dilution refrigerator.
Right, those super cold fridges.
Exactly. Imagine trying to cram thousands of tiny, delicate wires into a space colder than deep space. It's a huge engineering feat just to keep everything connected and working properly.
You mentioned gate speed as one of those 4 crucial elements for quantum advantage, specifically getting below 50 nanoseconds. Why is that speed so important for them?
It's critical because ultimately a quantum computer needs to exist within a broader hybrid system. That means it needs to interface seamlessly with existing data centers and networks right alongside classical CPUs and GPUs. Rigetti's superconducting qubits, they're already quite fast, around 50-60 nanoseconds with this new Cepheus-1 system. But getting below that 50 nanosecond mark makes them truly compatible with the clock speeds of classical computing infrastructure.
Nice.
And this is a huge differentiator from other quantum approaches, other modalities like ion traps or systems using pure atoms. Those are currently thousands of times slower. And that speed difference makes practical integration into existing IT infrastructure really, really difficult. So Rigetti's approach could potentially be more versatile for real-world applications sooner.
Interesting. Now, we also saw a mention of government funding in the earnings call. How does the National Quantum Initiative, the NQI, how does its reauthorization or lack thereof impact a company like Rigetti?
Well, the expiration of the NQI, which is the primary U.S. government program funding quantum R&D, and the fact that its reauthorization is still pending in the U.S. Congress, That has, in fact, impacted their year-over-year revenue. It contributed to that decline we talked about earlier.
Right.
However, Rigetti's CEO did highlight strong bipartisan support for the reauthorization. Hearings are ongoing in Congress. It's broadly viewed in the community as a matter of when, not if, it gets passed. And that would provide significant long-term funding for the entire quantum sector, including companies like Rigetti, and just provide a more stable environment for continued innovation.
You also mentioned partnerships earlier. Rigetti has a strategic one with Quanta. What's the focus there, and how does that play into their overall long-term strategy?
Yeah, the partnership with Quanta is actually very interesting. Quanta is investing in and developing the non-QPU part.
The non-quantum processing unit part.
Exactly. The non-QPU portion of the overall quantum hardware stack. They're primarily focusing on the control systems. And this is, I think, a smart move because it allows Rigetti to focus more intensely on their core QPU development. That's their specialty, right? The heart of the quantum computer. The vision is for Quanta to eventually take over aspects of high-volume, low-cost manufacturing for the overall quantum system as the industry scales up. It's sort of analogous to how classical chip design companies often outsource manufacturing to foundries.
Like TSMC or Intel Foundry.
Precisely. It lets Rigetti de-risk their path a bit and leverage Quanta's expertise in large-scale system integration, which comes from the traditional server market.
Okay, that makes sense. But given their incredibly strong cash position, over $500 million, you said, are they looking at acquisitions maybe? To accelerate their roadmap? It seems like they have the capital to do it.
It's a natural question. They actually specifically addressed M&A potential during their earnings call, and they stated it's currently limited. Their view is that they're already in a leadership position technologically. They feel there are only a couple of major tech giants ahead on certain metrics, and frankly, those giants are way beyond their acquisition reach.
Sure.
And for other smaller players in the quantum space, they don't currently see M&A offering a clear path to significantly accelerate their already pretty ambitious timeline to quantum advantage. So for now, they seem focused on internal innovation and pushing their chiplet strategy forward.
All right. And finally, how is market interest actually developing for their on-premise quantum systems? Are we seeing businesses lining up, or is it still more niche?
Yeah, for their on-premise systems, they're primarily dealing with governments and academic institutions right now. So think US and UK governments, for example, mainly for research contracts. These are not yet what you'd call production workflows in typical enterprise data centers. Not yet. But they are significant opportunities, especially those linked to national quantum missions. These initiatives, across various countries, could potentially represent hundreds of millions of dollars annually. And what's driving this interest, particularly from governments and academia, is that the chiplet approach, well, it's seen by these key customers as perhaps the only truly scalable way to eventually reach fault-tolerant quantum computing.
Which is the ultimate goal.
Which is their ultimate long-term goal, yes.
So there you have it. You've seen the full picture. A company navigating some significant financial challenges, sort of a classic deep tech valley of deaths scenario. Yet at the same time, making truly impressive technological strides forward, they're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in quantum hardware, even as the market for these incredibly advanced systems is still, very much developing, trying to catch up to the pace of innovation.
Absolutely. And this deep dive into Rigetti Computing's latest results, it leaves us with a really compelling question, I think. As leading quantum companies like Rigetti continue to hit these extraordinary technical milestones, often with substantial financial backing and government support, how long until these breakthroughs actually translate into truly widespread commercial applications? Beyond just government and academic research, what do you think will be the ultimate tipping point? That moment when quantum advantage becomes a tangible, maybe even everyday reality for businesses and industries globally?